$27,000. That's the VA car grant veterans know about. The one they don't renews. At the desk with us, Professor Delaney, who studies how the VA actually decides these auto grants, including the one almost nobody claims twice. And keep one thing warm for me. There is a whole group of veterans who cannot get that big check at all, yet they can claim the second benefit again and again. We will name exactly who in a minute.
Take the first benefit. The automobile allowance. One payment straight toward the vehicle, and you get it one time.
Just over $27,000 paid toward a specially equipped car. Once in a lifetime, with only 2 narrow exceptions. 30 years out, or a disaster destroys it.
Today we go past that myth and into the machinery. Who gets which benefit, and why the second one is the one people leave behind.
The correction most people need is this. The adaptive equipment grant is not the same benefit. It is separate under its own rules, and it comes back each time you get a qualifying vehicle.
Run the math on it. Allowance buys the car once. Adaptive equipment fits the car again. Same veteran, 2 different clocks.
And both of them start on the exact same form. 1 page, 2 benefits, and most people fill in half of it.
1 board, both benefits, side by side. On the left, the allowance. A one-time payment, it buys the vehicle and it sits on the narrower eligibility list. On the right, adaptive equipment. It renews for each vehicle, it equips the car, and it reaches more veterans.
Watch the top row, one time versus renews per vehicle. That single contrast is the whole misconception, and it is where most of the money gets left on the table.
And the equipment is the concrete part. Hand controls, a lift, a power seat, real hardware, bolted into a real car.
One honest caveat before anyone gets excited, neither one is automatic. You still need the service-connected disability that qualifies, and the VA still has to approve the equipment as necessary for your safety.
One resource before we go deeper, va.professorerica.com. Free VA guides and a claim checklist you can work through tonight. No sign up, no charge.
The chat just surfaced the exact question I keep hearing. If it really renews, how often does it come back? And who actually qualifies for the one that pays again?
This is the trap right there. Everyone thinks using the allowance burns the equipment grant, and it never actually.
Let me pause for just a second because this genuinely helps. If you are getting value here, hit that like button, then subscribe and ring the bell. It costs you nothing, and it is the single biggest thing that keeps these videos coming.
It never touches it. 2 regulations, 2 lists, 2 clocks. Spending the allowance takes nothing away from the equipment grant.
Okay, I printed both lists this morning and they don't match. The way the VA words it. Forget the wording. Start with who qualifies for what.
Take the allowance list first. Loss of a hand or a foot. Permanent vision loss in both eyes. Severe burns. ALS.
That list is narrow on purpose. It's written for buying the vehicle. And the vision line isn't vague, it's 20/200 or worse in your better eye.
Kai, that list doesn't say knees. It doesn't say hips. Who's getting left out?
Nobody. Knees and hips are on the other list.
Ankylosis, a knee or hip fused so it doesn't bend. It's on the equipment list, not the allowance list. Though, hold on. Why is it even called that?
Couldn't tell you where the word comes from. What it does is simple. The joint is locked.
Anyway, ankylosis of a knee or a hip. Learn that word because it decides which of the 2 benefits you get.
Take the fused knee then. That veteran's collecting the check and the
No, equipment only. A fused knee or hip gets equipment, not the allowance, which raises the question worth stopping on. 6 conditions qualify for adaptive equipment. How many also get the $27,000 check? Kai, guess.
All 6. Same benefit family, same form. Has to be all 6.
5. Hands, feet, vision, burns, and ALS all qualify for both. Ankylosis is the 6th, and va.gov puts it in parentheses right on the page. Equipment grant only. And here's the ruling that makes it renew. Under 38 CFR 17.156. The VA won't equip more than 2 vehicles at one time or in any 4-year period.
158.
158. You're right. 156 is who qualifies. 158 is how often.
So practically, you buy a van this year, you replace it 4 years later, and the equipment money is
Wait. Back up. 2 at once, or 2 inside 4 years.
both. No more than 2 at any one time, and no more than 2 in any 4-year window.
Wear out a van, get equipped again. Call it the van clock. 2 vehicles, 4-year window, so 1 every 2 years. No, 2, whenever they land inside the 4.
Think about the grocery budget. The allowance is the car payment once and it's done. The equipment grant is the weekly shop, it comes around again. And the forms like my fridge door, half covered, half ignored.
Okay, but a weekly shop comes every week. What happens in year 2 when the van's fine and you don't need a thing? So it breaks there. Unlike a grocery run, nothing pays out because the calendar turned. It pays when there's a qualifying vehicle to equip. No van, no grant.
That's fair. Plainly, the equipment grant renews when you get a qualifying vehicle, up to 2 in any 4-year stretch. Not on a schedule, on a vehicle. And the dollar figure, I want to say around $25,000. But that number moves every October, and I'm not guessing on something people act on. Pull the page.
Straight off va.gov, and I'm quoting, up to $27,074.99, effective the 1st of October, 2025.
There it is. Write that one down, not my memory of it. $1,500 higher than the number I had in my head.
Your memory owes somebody money.
Okay, that was good. $27,074.99. One time toward the vehicle.
There's a case in the file that shows the whole trap. Veteran gets the allowance back in the 2000s, buys the van, done. Ohio, I think.
Indiana, wasn't it? Doesn't matter. Keep going.
Could have been van dies 12, 13 years later. He buys another and never files because somebody told him the car benefit was spent. 2 vehicles worth of hand controls, never asked for.
And that's the cost of one wrong sentence from somebody who sounded sure.
Cynthia's been sitting on something since the top of this scene. Go ahead, ask it.
This'll sound basic. If a veteran spent the allowance years ago, how much of the equipment grant is left for them?
Let me fix the question because the premise is the trap. Nothing's left over because nothing was ever taken. The equipment grant isn't a remainder of the allowance. It's a separate benefit, its own list, its own clock. I mean, assuming they still meet the list. But spending the allowance never spent that.
Which means there's a form between that veteran and a set of hand controls. And before we get to what it's worth, 2 boxes on it that almost everybody skips.
Professor Delaney's still with us for the last piece, and it's one form, VA Form 21-4502. This is where the money moves, or doesn't.
One form for both benefits, and that's exactly why people underclaim. They fill it out for the vehicle and never mark the equipment they're owed.
Look at what's actually on the table. $27,074.99. One time toward the vehicle. Erica, take the second half.
The second half is the equipment, and there's no single dollar figure on it because it depends on what you need in order to drive. Hand controls, a wheelchair lift, power steering, power brakes, power windows, power seats. The VA authorizes the equipment your disability actually requires, and when you get another qualifying vehicle, it authorizes it again. That's the piece people spend an entire lifetime never claiming.
To borrow Kai's phrase, the van clock just started running. And if you're half listening to this in the driveway, keep one line. The vehicle triggers it, not the calendar.
Right. Put the form up. People need to see where this actually happens.
2 boxes decide this. Item 15 asks if you've applied before, and a yes there ends nothing. Item 16 is where you certify you're asking for the equipment, not just the vehicle.
The mistake is right, no. Let me say it the way people live it. They claim the car, they sign, they never mark the equipment, and the grant sits there for 20 years.
Then answer this plainly. Somebody files today and gets the equipment. When can they file again?
When there's another qualifying vehicle. That's the trigger. I mean, inside the limit, no more than 2 vehicles in any 4-year period.
Yeah, so 4 years minimum between vehicles.
No, not a waiting period. 2 vehicles inside any 4 years is a ceiling, not a spacing rule. Replace a van after 18 months and you're still inside it.
Huh, 18 months, then another one. Still 2 inside 4 years. Legal. I batch 5 identical meals every Sunday, and I just did that to a federal regulation.
The form runs 4 pages. 2 are instructions.
Okay, what's it worth all in? And no, I'm not guessing this one.
Here's the ruling on the money. The allowance is one time up to $27,074.99 toward the vehicle.
And the equipment line carries no ceiling like that one. It renews with the vehicle, which over a driving lifetime is worth more than the check.
2 vehicles, any 4 years. Those are the numbers.
Here's what I'd actually do. If you're on the allowance list, claim both halves of that form the first time, because the vehicle money only comes around once. If ankylosis is your qualifier, stop chasing a check that was never yours and file the equipment grant with every vehicle you buy.
So tonight the move is to pull the form and check whether you ever
filed for the equipment at all.
Whether you ever bought another vehicle. Filing once isn't the question, buying again is. Professor Delaney, thank you. Last thing, the one line you'd want a veteran to carry out of here.
Glad to help. It's this. The car benefit you already used is not the benefit you're still owed. Go check the second one.
If this is the first time anyone told you there were 2 benefits and not one, like it, subscribe, and send this to the veteran you know who was told the car benefit was already spent. One last question before we go. If that second benefit's been sitting there the whole time, what's it going to take for you to go look? Walk away with this. 1 form, 2 benefits, and only one of them is ever spent. Go check the other. I'm Cynthia, and I'll see you next time.